Okay, hello everybody. My name is Matt McMullen. I'm your host this afternoon. Just want to run through a couple of housekeeping items. The emergency exits are, there's one behind me here, and the main ones are out through this door and take a left. The bathrooms are out this door and take a right, and they should be on your right-hand side. Just a reminder to please submit your session feedback in the application on your phone, please. We value your feedback on the sessions. All of these sessions are recorded, and you'll get an email in a week or two with links to all of the videos for those. And please remember to have all your devices on silent. So for this session, which is creating a modern digital engagement platform for mobile students at Arizona State University, please welcome your presenters, Jason Hogue and Chris Richardson.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Public Sector Summit, Day 2. And as was mentioned, we're going to talk about creating a modern digital engagement platform. And Chris Richardson from Arizona State will be up here shortly. But what I wanted to do, just to kind of set the stage, was talk about the mobile landscape at AWS. I'm a solution architect at AWS. My name is Jason Hogue. I've been with AWS about 4 years. And one of the things that continues to always change is the innovation and the agility of AWS and how we really respond to customers, listen to their feedback, and then build services and features based on that. But one of the questions that always comes up is why mobile? You know, is mobile still important? And the trends show that it is. You know, the mobile app downloads continue to grow year over year. Greater than 45% increase by 2022 over what it currently is. Enterprises in the surveys that are done really are investing in native and web apps. And the JavaScript framework community continues to grow. And this is largely driven by web-based, mobile-based applications. So when you have native apps that can be built in a cross-platform way using things like React Native and Ionic, that really helps to facilitate agility in building more applications. But what we hear from customers, and we love to hear that feedback, is they want to be able to support multiple platforms and frameworks because they may have different teams that are building apps on different frameworks. One may use React, one may use Ionic. They want to be able to centralize the management of those. So that includes everything from DevOps to being able to integrate with AWS services in a centralized manner. They want to make sure that it's secure, and they want to be able to make sure that it scales, and they want to be able to make sure that it's optimized to use those AWS services. And lastly, they want the tools to really build and host the entire solution. And so that's why AWS offers a lot of services in the mobile landscape. So if you haven't checked these out, definitely encourage you to do this. When we talk about security, a lot of customers use Cognito for authentication and then to deliver authorization to their applications. For development, one of the things that Chris is really going to focus on is their use of AppSync. And his team heard about that at reInvent a couple of years ago. And it really fulfilled a lot of their needs for aggregating data on the back end and delivering a very robust, scalable API on the front end. Amplify is a developer toolkit to really streamline the process of integrating AWS services into your applications. And then, of course, we have compute and hosting that are always going to play a part in it. So S3 and CloudFront for hosting client-side web applications, Lambda for doing that processing on the back end for your APIs. Analytics, so Amazon Pinpoint is a solution for analyzing user behavior, for tracking retention, and then doing custom messaging based on those analytics back to your end users. One of the things that's so important with mobile is engagement and continuing to have that engagement from the time that they download that application to the time that they actually start using it, and hopefully the time that never occurs is them actually holding that button for 2 seconds and actually deleting the app. And that's really what you want to use all these services and tools to really avoid. And then, of course, messaging and storing of data. So DynamoDB You can definitely dive deeper into DynamoDB and its ability to scale almost infinitely as you collect more and more data from your users. And then if you have needs for queuing and doing notifications back to your end users, we have SQS and SNS. And then lastly, testing. So how do you test your application to make sure it works on the latest iPhones, the latest Android devices? How differently does it display on those native apps versus web-based views? And that's where Device Farm comes into play, where you can actually use pay-as-you-go services to basically test on those different devices. You can implement it into your pipeline for DevOps, and then make sure that it passes the tests that you need it to pass. So at this point, I'm going to have Chris come up and talk about how they delivered the ASU mobile app. So please welcome Chris Richardson to the stage.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. My number one goal here is to help you all realize that just reiterate what Jason said, the interface of mobile is super important. Unfortunately, mobile can get a bad name because, how many times have you downloaded an app, you go use it, doesn't really do much, you get rid of it. We believe it's the most important interface to our users, and I think you'll see it opens up tremendous opportunity. I also want to highlight a couple things. My other goal is just to kind of show you the problem statement and and kind of how we solve that. But we'll have time for questions, and if any went to Andy Jassie's fireside chat and you heard him talking about the process that Amazon uses to have like these small teams that are cross-functional. I don't really go into that here, but that is how we built this. He also talked about how when you deliver the app, it's not done. That's just the start. I mean, that is true. We have releases frequently, and those are the ways. There's all sorts of ways we can go. We can talk about maybe some of the challenges you're facing as you're approaching this, all sorts. So, all right. So once again, my name is Chris Richardson with Arizona State University. We're just going to run through the problem statement, how we solved it, some of the features, some of the adoption, why we're so excited. You'll see that this opens doors, and I didn't know we were going to do a demo. That wasn't a plan there. So, yeah, cool. Thank you. All right, so this is just an overview. Again, our mission, we have over 114,000 students now. We're the largest centrally managed university in the nation. For those that don't know, U.S. News and World Report, we're also the most innovative, 4 years in a row now. I mean, this app is ours. Like, we own the code. We've done everything. So it's really taken off. So that's just a quick overview here. So what was happening? So all these students, we were just bombarding them with email. I mean, universities will for those that are part of universities, they don't change very fast. And so all these processes were built around email. A lot of students, they come, the only reason they get an email is because we require it for the admissions process. A lot of times they're using their parents' email, and if the way we're trying to reach them is through email and they don't use it, guess what? We got a problem. So it was clearly outdated. Plus, kids, we are used to getting information the way we want, at the times we want, where we are. And we just saw that we weren't giving them relevant information about ASU. We're a complicated place, but it doesn't have to be. And if we figure if we can turn that scale into an asset and have these things reusable, we can do amazing things. And then they want to be able to build their own community in a place this large with multi-campuses. They want to feel like they get a special, unique experience, and it's possible if you design correctly. So those were some of our issues. And then we just knew that to really bring out the most in the learning experience, it's that community and it's the meaningful connections you build in that process. So we wanted to make sure they were engaged and find unique ways to connect with them. So again, email. We do have they love our web-based portal, but again, it's not really serving the purpose. It's designed to go once a day, quickly go on your laptop or your iPad, do a few processes. It's not meant to be on the go. And And then again, if you're designed around email, you don't have a content management system to schedule timely notifications. So these were some of the things we looked into. In a place as large as us, we have, I can't even name the number of schools. There's all sorts of content they're producing. There's all sorts of events to augment the experience. The students run their own clubs. And there was just kind of chaos of all of this information getting out to the students as well. And so it's a lot of effort. And so the students were creating their own experience through hard work, which if we could free that up for them, they could apply to more learning or building better communities. So we found that we were putting the burden on the student. In fact, that's actually a really interesting point. If you look at a lot of the models of many of the higher ed institutions, what's at the core of the institution is not actually the student, it's oddly the faculty. And a big part of what our president did when he joined Michael Crow, if you do some research, he's really changed that. Don't get me wrong, faculty is our core, but I think that's really important. And so we do a lot of the design with the student at the start and not how to make it easy for faculty. All right, so what do? We started with a platform. And again, that's AWS is nice. The infrastructure helps make this easy. And again, we involved our student body presidents. There was about 7 of them. We created a group of over 700 willing folks that would take online surveys from time to time. We have a digital experience team that would go and actually go out and watch them use it in unscripted ways. And we literally built it for the student, by the student. And our provost office and our shared services team and our technical teams took that vision and brought it to life. We also ensured that the product was fitting their needs. And so, again, after every release, we could both get in-app feedback. We could, have them watch this. I still remember the first release. We basically overwrote an app that had been around for 7 years. And we made one huge mistake. We didn't realize, because we didn't really have the back-end visibility we do now, we didn't realize one of the biggest things they were using was access to another system just as a very easy way, and we removed that access. And we got creamed on the App Store and Google Play, and so, but because we own the code, within a day we had it back up and running, and that noise stopped. But so again, we were tightly watching how they were using it throughout the process. Again, it's built on AWS. We were React Native front end, so we didn't have to manage 2 code bases, didn't have to do 2 release cycles. And then everything we've done, I'll show you the architecture in a minute. I'm not going to go super deep into the tech. We did that yesterday. But we've designed this where things are reusable. We find that if you build on AWS and you turn our own code into a mini service, the next time you need to build something similar, it cuts down the work. And we've just gotten much more efficient over time because of the tools that we've chosen. Also, we've chosen the serverless architecture, and then again, a number of open APIs. It's made it super simple for our team. So high level, I'm not going to go deep in this. Again, React Native front end. We have our own authentication engine, so we use a lot of the Amazon security tools to make that simple, secure, and scalable. Then we brought in the AppSync engine. I do think it's worth reiterating there that without AppSync, for the students to do things kind of in offline mode would have been very challenging, and to handle the data in real time at the amount we're doing. I mean, we're delivering so much back through the app, and you'll see some of the use cases in a minute, that they don't see any lag. And again, when you're competing with some of the best companies in the world for the way the experience of the apps, I think it's important to take that in consideration. Again, then you see kind of the overview of all the data processing layer. You see at the bottom, that's us extracting to do a lot of student success analysis. We're starting to realize with all the data we're collecting, when we look at our key priorities, which is freshman retention, keeping the students in the system so they actually get a return on their time there, and minimizing time to graduate. So we're very focused on decreasing or moving the needle from 6-year to 5-year to 4-year graduation rate, and ASU has gone tremendous progress. We're competing with some of the best schools in those graduation rates, and we do enroll quite a few more folks than other schools. And you can also see the storage architecture there. All right, so this is where I get excited. I'm more of a product person, and again, we've been releasing stuff on this every other week. We started with the experience of engagement, and to us, that was that improved communication. So we built our own content management system for notifications, and it has both push and in-app notification. In fact, I think we've got over 1.7 million pushes we've done now since this product went live in August, which is pretty amazing. We've started to bring in information sources from all around our campus. We've digitized our parking lots, and so now you can see what parking is open. We have a red, yellow, green. We've even done some little tests. When you approach a geofence, when you're approaching one of the lots that's full or yellow, we can give you a push notification to go a different direction. That's not fully released, but we've been experiencing that. It's pretty neat. We've also pulled in our transit systems so the students can not only see when the schedule is, but literally in an Uberized way, they can see where the bus actually is in case it's stuck in traffic. And so we're negotiating with the broader Valley Metro, which will be exciting because then you can see between campuses too. But again, when you've got this type of platform, you can really start to bring in anything and change that relationship. We do pull in from many other systems. We have over 20 back-end systems that we're just optimizing through our mobile app. So we bring in the student system, so they don't have to redo pictures. That's automatically fed from another system as part of the onboarding process when they become a student. By knowing where they are, we can give them different information depending on which campus they are, depending on if they're an online student. Everything is searchable, which is pretty cool, and then it gives you the relevant information on who you are as well based on tags that we've taught all the news and events and clubs teams to use, very simple tags. We even have 12 personas that the students get to pick themselves, just a quick design, unclick, click, and the news and events you get will be different based on your preferences. Students love that. So again, it's all personalized and it's all both designed to make them feel like we know who they are and give them information and keep them engaged. One funny story, we didn't really understand why, but the thing they wanted most on the homepage is weather. And for a few reasons, that's kind of odd. I mean, we are in the desert, and so it's always hot. But, I think for any of those that have read Jay Baer, he's got a book called Utility. When you can make things in a central way that make you feel empowered to do things as much as possible in a very simple way, weather was just another add-on. It's just kind of funny. All right. We also started to pull in their daily schedule. A lot of the apps do this, but it's very static. It just says what class you're in. We actually pull in the schedule so that it layers in your class with the events you've signed up for, and it even gives you the ability to create your own reminders, whether it's a one-time or ongoing. We pulled in. We kind of knew this was going to happen, but we didn't really have political buy-in from our athletics department. We helped them decide the new ticketing system that had an open API, and the students kind of revolted and said, we don't want another app to go and access our football tickets. And so within 2 weeks, we integrated with Ticketmaster, and 99.98%, I think only four through the whole season, did not use our app to access a football game. And we pulled that off in 2 weeks. It's pretty amazing. Let's see. A couple other pieces. Again, we only highlighted some. We think here. Through the Sun Devil Athletics, we actually created a little light game where they can hold it up and literally it toggles between the maroon and gold of the Sun Devils. And it was kind of neat. Again, they all accessed the game when we played Michigan State and won. The ESPN Taco Bell ranked the ASU student section as the best in America. And again, our app had something to do with that. The fans were engaged, and it was a great environment. Let's see, what else should I highlight here? One thing I didn't show that's super interesting is we've learned that the student that builds a sense of community beyond just going to school has a higher likelihood of succeeding, right? They build a support group. And so one of the things we did is we created a unique kind of social experience. So when their course schedule loads, it also loads who's in the class. And there's a super easy way to friend request another student. And it's not meant to follow their tagging, what they're posting. It's actually meant to see what events they're going to, what they check into. And literally we're in beta right now. We've created our own chat app where now they can kick off a chat session to find out, hey, I need to study on this topic. Can you meet? And again, the chat is only available if the other person has accepted the friend request. So again, we've launched about 5 of these things since we put this slide deck together. It's pretty cool how much the team's doing. So what resulted? And again, we should have plenty of time for questions to kind of see how you're exploring your own progress, or if you want to hear kind of more the hows of what we did. It was kind of interesting. So I told you we kind of repurposed an app. We built the whole back end, and then we got BuyIn. It was originally kind of a tech-driven entity. At a university, the provost basically runs the show. They have the responsibility for all the teaching and learning. And so we didn't have support for them. Obviously, when we redid it, we had full support. Our student services, they launched a fall welcome. We ended up getting 92% of the freshman class to adopt the app, which is pretty amazing. And our team that does retention efforts, those that had the app, while it's not 100% correlative, were statistically different than those that didn't have the app of staying with and persisting beyond, which is pretty amazing. And this is across all socioeconomic classes. So it's not just, if you look at the ones that they had great grades, they're highly likely going to be succeeding in school. I mean, those didn't matter if they had the app. But at the lower ends where, there's a little more risk and there's a lot of maturity some of the students need, those with the app were so statistically different than those that didn't have the app of staying. It was pretty amazing, and we're really excited about those results. But we've grown, actually, these are old data. We actually have 91,000 unique downloads. So it's been super successful, and this is just since August. We really only did the fall welcome. It was just all the freshmen were in one big group. There was no real marketing. We didn't have to do a lot of push. I mean, again, they are students, but in the past, the old app, it had been around for 7 years. It only had 13,000 downloads. It was very unengaged. So we were just very, very pleased with that. And we've actually already morphed on how we track. At one point, we had about 25,000 unique visitors a week. Obviously, we're cyclical. When school starts, we have tremendous usage. But we've added so many features, we're starting to see a lot more repeat usage, which is exciting. In fact, of those that used our app, they were coming there twice a day. And they evolved their numbers of clicks from 12 to 25. Some might think that's a measure that they're not getting what they want, but we've actually looked, and it's because they're engaging with the content that's there. They're learning, they're engaging with their friends, and we're really excited. In fact, we're now tracking time in app, and the average user that comes is on there for 3.5 minutes, which is incredible. So what they're doing is while they're walking between classes, they're using it to wayfind, they're using it to communicate with their friends. It's really exciting. All right, and then again, you see the push notifications. That was the key. We wanted to get off email. Done over 1.7 million since this started, and we're seeing tremendous growth. All right, so again, I'm going to open up for questions. One thing to think about is we did this in a very unique way that I don't think is intuitive to a lot of entities in terms of co-creating. And we have a roadmap as far as the eye can see. We just launched a alumni version. Just in the Phoenix Valley alone, we have 440,000 alumni that are completely unengaged. And so we decided for all the graduating seniors to move them into this young alumni app. And now we're going to start iterating on that to build out an experience so that the Sun Devil Nation around the nation and the world, for that matter, can start to be engaged through this app. But we also, you saw some of the smart city things. Our surrounding municipalities, the cities, they're super excited because our students, in an engaged way, they are citizens of the city of Tempe, which we share our campus, city of Phoenix, which we share campus, city of Mesa, which we share campus. They're trying to get between these places. And so we're thinking about how to help the cities engage with the students in unique ways that I think will have tremendous benefit too. So, all right, with that, I'm just going to open up for questions, and hopefully you guys are also thinking about how you might build your own apps for your own environments and how you might evolve that way.
Tied in the learning management system to your app, or is it just kind of a front end?
Great question. So we have, and I think both entities are here, so I apologize, but we've recently moved into what's known as Instructure, which is Canvas, and that's a learning management system. I think I glossed over it. And what we found is, again, that the students want everything at their fingertips to make decisions differently on the go in a mobile app environment than if they want to go swing by a portal and go deeper. And so we realized, all right, well, how do we make the LMS that way? And so there's a lot of simple alerts that are coming there that just help them be prepared and take the short-term actions. And so what we've done is we built the APIs to Canvas and Instructure, and we're just bringing the signals a lot like what we've done with the push notifications, so that they know there's something to do. They can get a quick heads up on that, but then we're not taking away from the LMS experience. Back when they get into a deeper, richer environment, or even through their mobile app, they can make that happen. So we're just pulling information to make it a seamless experience. Hopefully that answers your question. I didn't hear the question. Yeah, so the question was this implemented?
It's implemented.
Yes, we launched a beta version of April of 2018. We did the full launch in prep for our school year, our calendar year in August. And we've just gone through the first full cycle.
Because I'm from Illinois State University. So we're working in smart campus or smart university, actually, center. And we are going to, so in this case, is it applicable to others, or we don't want to go through the, reinvent the wheels. We can work to enhance it and so forth.
I'm an entrepreneur. I've started 4 or 5 companies in my time, and we have built this where it's possible, and we actually have some verbal commitments to apply this to other universities. So we're working out the terms, and we expect to be having somewhere between 2 and 4 universities launch in the fall. So we're really excited. So good question. You got a question here?
Can you talk a little bit about the support, the ongoing support that you're going to devote to this, or how much support do you think it is going to take going forward?
Well, so the support to our current app, it's really interesting to me what is support when you work in this way, and it's not intuitive. It's actually less support than the old model in my mind. When you have all these changes that are done by distributed teams that aren't really talking, that aren't automated, chaos results. And so, any of us kind of in the old ITIL model, anytime you release a change, you're increasing risk. Well, we found that with our own app, we've not, knock on wood, we've not had a real outage, other than our own issue of missing how the app was used and taking a link away, and then we just put it back up on the fly. So, we're learning what it takes to support our own app, but most of it is just in the product development and having everything automated, having everything scripted, and using APIs and microservices. That question is related to our own use. The reason why we're kind of creating a unique relationship with these pilot commitments is we got to figure out the model for doing this elsewhere. And so it's been very promising. We've done the exact same process that we did for ourselves. We did the user stories. We did the design elements. We're getting that in front of the constituents that would be using the app, both on those that represent it to their students as well as the students. And we're making minor tweaks, but all of the infrastructure is the same for the most part. And so again, we think we can reuse a lot of the same support So my big issue is being a relative state institution is figuring out how to make sure we're aligned with the mission of the university and create an avenue that allows us to run these apps for other entities.
Just a question about so you deploy a bunch of sensors, right, for parking, you said. I don't know if you're doing like library, reservations or whatever, you want to do as smart classroom and some. Are you doing that or just for notification for different things?
I'm going to answer the question I think I heard, which is, are we doing some of the smart capabilities for the parties outside of our own? I would answer it depends. So in my title, I'm Deputy CIO of IT Development, Mobility Platforms, and Smart Cities Initiatives. I'm super excited about the promise of smart cities and Internet of Things. And under this microservices and API containers world, like API connections, and you can connect anything. So as long as you're doing it in a secure way, I think some of the promise of having other universities using this is we know they're going to be doing it differently than we are, and we'll learn from them, and we'll be able to put that into the roadmap and then distribute it back out. Plus, we're finding if we can free up universities from managing their own platform or supporting a third party that's a little kludgy and isn't built like this, they can actually start to build their own connected solutions tied to their universities and bring their own data from their own systems forward. And that's all we're doing in the smart campus concept. And so we're going to be hosting an event in November where we're going to have a few schools come and help kind of co-create what smart campus is. We did that for smart cities and regions, and we're now going to broaden to do campuses too. So again, it's a passion of mine, and we also launched with Amazon, we launched in ASU Smart City Cloud Innovation Center, and it's really designed to work with the municipalities and ourselves to figure out how to solve these challenges and then publish the results in open source ways so that others can use the solutions. So kind of a long answer. I think I know what you're talking about, but again, there's a lot of unknowns in this, but the process is you build, you test, you try, and then you deploy, and then you reuse, and
What I meant, like, for example, parking definitely you deploy some sensors, right?
right. So, but we're dependent on the parking solution, right? The data has to come from somewhere. We haven't built IP that optimizes the parking data collection, and so for our own use, it's a pretty complex mishmash of stuff. I mean, some of it's just as simple as the up-down arm. Some of it, I hate to say, is even a person that notes down and certain lots for certain games. That's how they do it. And then others are actually more elegant solutions where there's like a little sensor in the pavement or not. But the great thing about the smart campus, smart city movement is when an entity makes an investment and data now can be collected in an infrastructure like this. You can connect it, you can use it, you can present it, you can understand it, and that wasn't easy in the old model.
Hey there. I appreciate you were talking about getting the feedback and doing the sort of pre-planning stages, and you mentioned going to the student council, getting student surveys, focus groups, and one-on-one interviews. If you could only pick one of those, or if there's another thing, what was like your highest value, got you the most to go with?
It's a really good question. I mean, to get us started, it was, again, hopefully this isn't blasphemous, but I think it was an interesting process to get started. I was asked just out of the blue, who owns this app? And I kind of sheepishly raised my hand because I knew it was a technologist build, and it was, the technology was good, but the app was just crap. And I raised my hand, they said, well, what if we did these 8 things? And I said, man, that would turn this thing into something amazing, but you only own 2 of those processes. Like, let's get these other 3 people, and if they're all nodding their heads, let's go make it happen. So then we get those 4 people together, and they're all nodding their head, and I said, well, hold on. Let's go ask the students. Let's go make sure. And so we created a survey, and we sent it out to the 200 or 300, and now we knew or at least we had a hypothesis. If we asked the questions right, and they validated some of what the planning group had done, and we found some unique things we didn't expect. And so I would say of those types, if you don't have the team support to do it all, I would start with that. Now, a lot of them we started layering in after we got started, but it was that first survey to really try to define what we think they would want and validate where to focus. And again, if you think back to the agile mode and lean startup, which is a big part of how Amazon works, you don't go and build everything. You get the MVP out, and then you see what that does, and then you try something new, and you keep evolving. So.
Hey, Chris, thank you for this insight. My question is, how was the compliance and the security of this particular workflow for the push notifications of 1.75 million that you're referring to is controlled? Is there any specific workflow of validation before the final trigger to this push notifications because of the various state, federal laws in today's world?
If I understand the question correct, it's how do we assure we're following security guidelines and security principles in our content management system for push notifications?
Right.
Yeah. So again, we designed the CMS ourselves, all using AWS, built on AWS services and our own code, and it's all automated, and our security teams were involved in that process. And then we had our legal team review the types of mechanisms of who has access, so typical access controls. We just have a web backend that allows, we've trained over 100 people to use the system. It allows them to slice and dice what's in our student system. If they want, they can plug in a CSV file to get an exact list that they want. But again, I like to simplify things. So to me, the security is what's it built in, who built it, how, what's automated versus people-based, and then who has access. And I think those are a lot of the same things you do with any secure solution. And so we followed our own processes. We think it's pretty tight.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and then over here.
Yeah, I'm also teaching in the university. When I communicate with a student nowadays seems to have their own channel, like group chat, Snapchat. They build their own group and communicate with them, each other. So in your platform, do you support any connectability or sharing with those, their own channel?
In higher education, we're kind of in a unique space where we've got an entity that's trusted us to provide a service, and now it's our role to engage them and get them the best outcomes for that trust they've placed in us. And so, but because of that, there's a little bit of a, how do I say, like, we don't necessarily have to open up to those other things. We don't have to take the risk, because if we embody a great experience around what service we're providing them, why do we need Snap in there? If they need to communicate to do the things we did, or the things they want to do, I'd rather have them communicate in something that's secure, that doesn't open up, weird pics and things that if we bring it in, what's our responsibility to make sure it's safe and secure? So we chose to build our own chat connection that doesn't allow video and pics and anything to go to social. And I don't know, that's our preference, but we think it's a smart design, and we think it's tailoring the solution to get the absolute best experience for our learners.
Is any of this voice enabled, or is it swipes and clicks? And we really want to know what link you broke specifically, so that we don't break that link.
It was just the link to our old LMS. So it is, LMS is such a key part of the students' grades and all that stuff, and we had no idea that they were using that. Now we have amazing insight on this digital plane. We see everything, and so we've designed it where we're not doing anything that moves us in the gray areas. But I mean, it's amazing what we can see now. So question was, sorry. Voice. So we are so for those that know Arizona State University, we built our own ASU Alexa skill. We've even got, I know it's blasphemy to say here, we've got a Google Home skill. We believe, just like I believe that mobile apps are an amazing interface, we believe voice is an amazing interface. We will, in I don't know which release, but sometime before our fall release, we will have voice enabled where that skill is there, where now we can see how that augments the mobile app experience. It's already available through, we've been testing it through our mobile, our website interfaces too. So we're kind of looking at this multimodal voice as a complement type of approach.
All right, another one.
Sure.
The chat question got me thinking because with my organization, we have a LMS for our volunteers, and we really went back and forth on this idea of allowing conversations that their, sort of manager wasn't privy to. What was your theory? Do you have any kind of filters, safeguards? How do you manage the risk of that kind of communication?
So the premise was they're already communicating. They're already texting. They're already emailing. Not really, but they can. They're already using Snap. They're already using whatever. It's already on their phone. So if we open the door to something that's part of our app, that's part of the ASU experience, that is a little more touchy. But we erred on the side that, hey, as long as we minimize the risk in the design, and who knows, we might find that text, anonymized in a way, will open up understanding of these people that create study groups. How do we influence more of that to happen because they have the best outcomes? We feel that having that data, and we're starting to do all the algorithms to figure that out. We're releasing a chatbot relatively soon that we've built ourselves. We can help contribute back to that channel or just do it through our experience center. Again, it's all going to be multimodal. We can plug into our web, plug into our app. We just feel having that data designed in a secure and easy way is worth what little risk. But I mean, we had lawyers look at it. They're already communicating. That's not our responsibility. There's tools that we've adopted that actually do monitor the flow. There's startups that do it. But again, it's around kind of a mindset mentality to kind of bring forward some ill will. This is just purely designed to help them communicate and help them navigate and have the best experience. Any other questions?
Okay.
All right.
Good. Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the great question.